on tap.
Magnus boldly ignoring and just capturing on B2.
And we see rook C7.
And there's got to be, but he can take the rook, can't he? No,
yes,
he drops a pawn.
He can take the rook on
C7. And he did take the rook, and then he takes the second rook, and now he has an amazing unit. That's the matchup I'd like to see. Although I'd love to see Fabi get in there, of course. I mean, as a good friend and fellow American, I'm going to be voting for him for sure. But objectively, I think Levon. Anyway, right now we've got a different match at stake, and it is this gentleman who will also be playing in the candidates, Liren, trying to put a dent on Magnus in the Blitz.
And let's see
Definitely a potential challenge here as my DGD board updates itself. But you do see a King's Indian on the board with Bishop F5, a line, by the way, that Fabi has made popular himself.
And this nice maneuver with the knight dropping back to E1 so that he could make a break in the center of the board with D5, and now we have a fixed pawn structure with that pawn on D5, gaining space, but at the same time ceding squares. Dark squares C5 and E5 do present potential homes for black knights. And then that C4 square, note that C4 square in white's position is weak. And that bishop on the long diagonal can't wait for you to play the move B3 to guard that square. So a knight will want to nestle on that square, but right now, not so easy for Magnus to maneuver his knight to that ideal square. C4 put maximum pressure on white's game. So white's going to take the next few moves to consolidate that situation.
And we've seen A7, A5 by Magnus. I like the move bishop d4 very much, just neutralizing this bishop on g7, and he has played it. I like this. Very easy for white to play, by the way. White is ready to just queen b3 or queen d2, knight to d3, rook to c1, and thanks to the space that pawn on d5 provides, it's easier for white to organize his pieces.
There goes Magnus looking to play some disrupting moves on that queen side by playing B5. That, by the way, has permanently weakened the square C6.
Precisely. So, I was about to say.
You give, you get. Or you get, you give in chess. Yeah. But again, not easy for a knight to land on that square, but certainly a rook could think about landing on that square in later stage. And he's played A3 in this position, allowing takes, and knight takes. A move intended to remove that poor knight that was sitting on the A6 square.
Exactly. A3. I was thinking of A4, but now the question for Ding, if he captures on B4, can he target that?
He doesn't want to capture it. He's played queen D2.
That's just very, very quickly. But again, look how fast-paced
and now he captured
players.
Immediately.
At E2, E3, refortifying the bishop on D4, just hanging out. Rook A2, Rook A1, on tap for Ding.
But this game is simplified, Yaz. He's played Queen B8, attacking the pawn on B2, and then knight back, and Ding has gone into pure defensive mode after the A4. Bishop C3,
Bishop D4. You were mentioning that knight can come to C6. Knight E2 to D4 to C6.
But what if knight E4 right now?
I'll take it.
Take, rook takes, and then trade, and then put your knight on D4?
Yes, and maybe that rook in the center of the board may not find, may find itself tactically as hard.
Rook would be an issue.
You have a bias towards that bishop on G2, yeah.
There's a timing issue here for sure, but I feel like
knight E4 is a critical move. I agree with you.
That's
he
why
has played rook B5, intimating that he's prepared to sacrifice
immediately. Knight D4, rook takes D5, and you don't even think. You just play it instantly. That's a typical exchange sack. And the key here is that I like this relationship of the A pawn on A4 to that pawn on B2. B2 looks like a permanent target, and there's always going to be threats when that knight moves off of the F6 square. This is close. Knight D4. He played it.
Done it.
And we're now in a position.
That exchange sack on the board.
I think I would have started that with E3, E4. I think this exchange sacrifices ample compensation for black.
Especially with that bishop on D7 and pawn on A4 unit. Right. They stand very well. Queen B7 accentuating the light square dominance. Queen to B7. And now you got to watch out for the G2 possibilities. There could be some mates down there if you're not careful. That's not short term, that's long term, but ever present. You feel the ghost of checkmates when your king is that drafty.
Yeah, with the absence of the light squared bishop on g2 defending the king.
This looks good. This is a very pristine structure for black, and it's just his minor pieces are all something to write home about.
White's only move is e4. The only move to disrupt the structure in some ways to play e4 at some point, but that concedes ground.
That creates a big weakness.
Absolutely.
And could cost a pawn. Knight takes e3 and queen takes e4.
Right, immediately unplayable. So that means White has no pawn moves to make. He's going to have to figure out how to reorganize his structure in the right way.
Drop back,
of course,
but now just the two bishops as well.
this is full compensation.
Oh, definitely.
This is absolute full compensation. And Magnus is going to start thinking about how do I get this guy. Now, it's not so easy because, again, e4 is a play.
Well, bishop h3 is...
f4, but rook b8 first. Good move. Putting some pressure.
On the b2 pawn. Inviting knight takes a4. Bishop h3, by the way, so you cannot even think about capturing that pawn on a4. And he's played knight d5, allowing bishop takes b2. I personally would probably just cover up the e7 pawn, but there's a rook c7 on tap.
Magnus boldly ignoring and just capturing on b2.
And we see rook c7.
And there's got to be... But he can take the rook, can't he? No,
yes,
he drops a pawn.
He can take the rook on
and
c7.
He did take the rook, and then he takes the second rook, and now he has an amazing unit
of two
the
bishops.
Trio of two bishops and rook and pawn make that
couple of pawns.
Two pawns. More than enough compensation for black.
And
black looks great here.
And a runaway a pawn too.
That's the problem.
Ineffective knight.
That knight and queen have to create some kind of threats.
There are no where.
Knight d5.
Where are you going to do
Knight d5. He's played it. The knight on c7 was doing nothing. He brings his knight back into the fray.
He has to
pawn on
coordinate
e7.
that. Queen a5 he's trying to play, but there's always some kind of bishop c6 and rook b1 that you have to worry about.
And also
Absolutely.
bishop h3 with the same similar kind of ideas waiting to be... Even rook b1 and bishop c6 now.
Here again, I like to keep the structure. Yeah, rook b1 and bishop c6. I also like just to keep the structure intact. King
f8, right? Just guard the pawn. But I'm sure he was looking at a win with rook check and bishop c6. He's eyeballing it for sure.
But
And he's played queen a5.
Trying to get a little bit of activity, that's right.
Exactly.
Eyeing the d8 square.
Right.
This distribution of material, quite unusual to be sure. Now bishop c6
played
with the threat. With the threat of maybe e6.
Yes.
e6 is the threat, and your knight can't move because of the back rank mate.
That's right. No time for knight takes e7 because of rook
Knight
b1
b4.
mate.
Bishop c3 looks... Wait a minute, bishop c3, knight takes c6.
There is queen c7.
Queen c7 is also in the
But
position.
he has played bishop c3.
He did play bishop c3.
Yeah, queen c7 is forced.
Yes.
And he's taken rook takes, going into this formation.
With a great bishop on f6.
That bishop
And
on
you
f6
cannot
ushers
challenge...
the pawn home. That's the problem.
You cannot challenge this this unit anymore. Look how he's just created a very perfect structure. Has Magnus with a pawn going up the board, and look at his bishop, pawn, and rook harmonizing beautifully. But can he make any forward moves?
Yes, bishop b2, very, very strong. Now the rook gets released.
And he's played rook e1, allowing queen takes e1.
No, queen takes
e2, and then we're going to be
Magnus
up a
has got
bishop.
that covered. But queen b3 is playable right now.
Then
And he did play it. Queen b3, dropping e4. And it looks like black for choice. He just has to organize everything in his position at some point. The d-pawn is going to be pushed down the board as well.
First d5.
First shutting down any
Everything.
action there, and here comes that d-pawn. It's just going to march up the board easily. Just making moves is ding. And I'm not sure why he can't push it just yet. Why doesn't Magnus just push the pawn?
And now he's done it. He's
back to this d4. Yeah, there it is. He's figured out how to push the d-pawn, and you're going to be helpless against his pawns. Inexorable word you use. Advance, Yaz. Here it comes. Unstoppable. Just one more hope that... But I don't know why d2 doesn't win also. D2 looks like...
D2 and a2. That's right.
Why is it taking him so long? D2... Oh, no. A2 didn't work because a queen takes bishop check. So Magnus's king is... Maybe Magnus should move his king off of that square.
No,
it's been for a while, but now he's...
What he's doing works
reorganizing, and there he goes. Now he's finally figured it out.
Beautiful.
With 30 seconds still on the clock, Magnus.
What an outstanding blitz cam. That was impressive.
Very, very,
just
very
so alert. Yes. He shouldn't have allowed rook takes d5, but after that, Magnus just played stunning chess.
Yeah, no, he really put it together. Maurice, if you could bring up that moment where Magnus